Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of our podcast. Today we're focusing on the fascinating ways that movement can serve as medicine for our bodies and minds. From the heart pumping benefit of cardio and the muscle building power of strength training to the calming effects of yoga and Tai Chi and the rejuvenating experience of being active in nature. We'll uncover how these diverse activities impact blood pressure and beyond. Join us as we speak with our expert guests who will share insights, success stories, and practical advice on harnessing the power of movement to transform your health. Welcome to High Blood Pressure Wellness Lifestyle Podcast, where your journey toward a healthier, more vibrant life takes center stage. I am Donna Williams, your host and guide, certified holistic health coach, and passionate advocate for transforming lives through mindful, practical approaches to health. At my digital home, info on highbloodpressure.com, and through this podcast, I'm here to serve a vibrant community, especially focusing on women of color, by demystifying chronic disease management, starting with high blood pressure. Each episode dives deep into tailor-made strategies from my personalized coaching and online courses, highlighting not just what you should eat, but how you should think about food and lifestyle management to revitalize every aspect of your health. We'll explore the power of mindful eating, a transformative approach that will forever change your relationship with food and show you how to command your blood pressure. Today, I am so thrilled to introduce Michelle Zellner. She is the inspiring founder of Better Beans. With over 27 years of experience, Michelle has dedicated her career to helping people transform their lives through improved physical and mental well-being. Her expertise spans a wide range of areas, including exercise, nutrition, weight management, stress reduction, sleep optimization, and we need that, chronic disease prevention and management, work-life balance, and mindfulness. Michelle's own wellness journey has deeply informed her approach, allowing her to touch the lives of thousands with her unique blend of knowledge and empathy. As a passionate author, speaker, corporate wellness trainer, coach, Michelle is driven by a singular mission to empower individuals to take control of their health and become better versions of themselves. And we can all relate to that. She has authored two insightful books, The You Revolution, The Journey of a Better Being, and PFF is your BFF handbook, a simple guide to fueling your busy body. Michelle is the host of the Be a Better Being podcast. So welcome, Michelle, and let's get started with today's topic of Nature's Gym, the incredible impact of diverse physical activities on your heart and soul. So, Michelle, how would you define the concept of Nature's Gym, and why do you think it resonates with so many people today?
Well, thank you, Donna, for letting me come on your show and share this time with you. I love everything you're doing and super excited to get to share with your audience. I think, as you said, movement is medicine. And when you think about the way a human was designed, we were designed to live outside, right? Not in boxes. And we experience life with all of the elements and nature connected, literally connected to us. And generally, we were moving our bodies pretty much all day long, doing all kinds of things, lifting, pushing, pulling, carrying things up and down, maybe sometimes going for long distances at a time. We rarely were stationary. And if we were, we might have been sitting, but we didn't have like these things called chairs that did all the work for us. So we actually still had to make an effort to stay upright, utilizing our core. We didn't have these stabilizing things on our feet called shoes. We actually had our muscles that did all the work. So that's what a human was designed for, which is why it makes sense that when we get back to those basics, we tend to feel better. We get some kind of benefit, physical, mental, emotional. We get all the benefits from moving our bodies in a variety of ways. We get additional benefit if we can do that in nature.
Oh, yes. But do you have any success stories you can share with us for, let me think of something more definite, personal story or experiences where engaging in physical activities in nature had a profound impact on your heart and soul?
Oh my gosh. I mean, how much time do we have?
Oh, we have time. We have time.
I mean, I think about my own personal journey. So I was a gymnast growing up, which is not an outdoor sport. I grew up in Wisconsin, cold, dark, gray in the winters, and hot and humid in the summers. There wasn't really a lot of nature activity going on. I mean, we rode our bikes, kind of lived out in the country. So we played in the woods, we rode our bikes. We did more like play kind of things, not specific exercise, if you will. But being a gymnast, I was always moving my body in a lot of different ways, and that just feels good. It's interesting the things you can do with your body. I would say I didn't really explore activity in nature until I went to college. So I went to school at the University of Hawaii, and obviously in this amazing, incredibly beautiful environment. And all I wanted to do was be outside in it. So whether it was going for a walk, or it was, going down to the beach and playing in the waves, or when I joined the outrigger canoe team and getting to paddle out in the ocean with turtles right next to me and dolphins over here and the amazing wide open ocean, and you're looking at all of this beauty around, and then maybe we did a hike in the rainforest, and we saw some waterfalls and all of these things that, as a girl from rural Wisconsin, like, I didn't grow up with that. So it was a completely different experience when you get to be immersed in it while moving your body. So you're getting all of this physical benefit, and you're literally being infused with the energy of the earth. Generally, I'm doing this with people, so I'm also getting the human connection, and the community and the camaraderie, that shared experience with other people, which just even deepens the benefit from it. So I think that for me, that very, first introduction kind of in college, where I started doing consistently, was what solidified in my own heart and soul, like, how incredibly valuable and powerful this is. Because when you do things that make you feel better, you are better. And then you start to do better, and you want to continue to do better. And it's just this really beautiful snowball effect.
Oh, yes. But were you a swimmer before you went to Hawaii?
I was not a swimmer. Now, we took swimming lessons. So actually, a great story. So we had, in our little town, we had what was called Marble Park. It was a man-made lake, if you will. I guess, now we would maybe, I don't know, call it it was like a swimming reservoir, basically. And swimming lessons were usually at 6 or 6:30 in the morning. And even though it's summer, it's freezing and the water's freezing. And this is not fun at all. But everybody took swimming lessons. You just learned how to swim.
Hmm.
And I remember like having to swim out to the high dive, which was scary because that's like water way over your head, and you're freezing and shivering, and yet it's also kind of cool because you're doing this thing that, like, oh, I can go to the high dive now, and that's a big deal. So I wasn't a swimmer. In fact, I have a very healthy fear of the ocean. You would think going to Hawaii, I'd want to be like surfing and scuba diving,
Oh,
doing all
no,
this
no.
stuff.
But you said the
No.
pool and the ocean is two different things.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to be on or by the ocean. I don't love to be in it. Now, I'm a little different now. When I was in college, I did take up boogie boarding, and that was super fun. So snorkeling, fun as well. But yeah, mostly when it comes to the ocean, I prefer to be on or in it, or on or by it, not necessarily in it.
I agree, because there are too many surprises there, and you cannot correct as easily in the ocean as in the pool. So I
That is right.
understand completely.
That is right.
We are talking about outdoors, and we love outdoors, especially during the summer times or whenever we can, because it's so different from indoors. So, how do these outdoors activities, specifically one that would benefit our cardiovascular health, our overall well-being, how does it shape our approach to wellness today?
I mean, I think no matter how you move your body, it's a good thing, right? So whether you like to do it indoors or outdoors, it's a good thing. I have to say, a lot of my movement these days is indoors. Unfortunately, all of my love of the sun has caught up with me, and I was diagnosed with very aggressive melanoma about a year ago. So I've had to really change my relationship to the outdoors in the last year and a half, and I'm not happy about it
Hear
at
that.
all.
So sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely not, what I had in mind for my life, but it's fine. It is what it is. And there are certainly ways that I can still be outside and be protected. It's just not the same,
Different.
right?
But
Yeah.
the indoor gym now do have some great benefits because of our different weather in different states. Each state or each gym that you go to do have some unique benefits to not just traditional gym workouts. So, how would you compare indoor gym with outdoor? Or it doesn't matter.
Well, that's such a great point because as a coach, I work with a lot of people who will say, well, I really like to exercise outside. And, in the winter, it's too cold, or in the summer, it's too hot. And I say to that, I love that that's your preference, but your body doesn't care. Your body still needs to move. So I do think it's important that we find ways to continue to move our body, regardless of what the weather might be doing outside or what any other, limitations might be. So definitely when I can be outside, I always check that UV index. I'm clothed up. I am slathered up with the UPF blocking and all the things. And it's nice to have the breeze on your face, a little bit of sunlight into your eyeballs, maybe being in the peace and the solitude. I try whenever I'm outdoors. I don't have iPod earbuds in. I am with nature. Maybe I'm talking with a friend, but I'm not listening to anything in my ears. And even if it's just a walk in the park across my street, I want to pay attention to my surroundings and really take it in all ways, right? Through my eyes, through my ears, through what I'm feeling in terms of what the environment is giving me. And knowing that I'm breathing in somewhat fresh air, right? That's also a nice thing. If I'm maybe up in the mountains, of course, that's a whole different element. Now we have some altitude, it's a little more challenging. We're really going to tax our cardiovascular system, really boosting that oxygen production,
Yes.
boosting our red cell production, which just makes life easier for you, increasing the lung capacity, all of these things that then translate when we get back to just living day to day life to making life a lot easier. When I'm in the gym, maybe I'm on a piece of cardio equipment, but I am looking out at the beautiful view that I happen to have in my gym on
Yes.
nature. So obviously, we don't all have like the benefit of that. I would say one of the favorite gyms I ever worked out at in Hawaii looked out onto the ocean. And it is so motivating to get on that piece of cardio because you're still looking at something really beautiful. We
And
have
you're
lots of,
surrounded.
devices now that you can simulate being climbing the Alps or, going past Niagara Falls or you're hiking the hills of Bali. So even though it's not really in nature, your eyeballs actually do get a little bit of that benefit, which translates into that benefit in the brain. So there is so much healing power to being connected to nature. We do the best we can do in the real lives that we live. And if that means I'm on a treadmill with a screen version of nature in front of me, then I'll take it.
Oh, yes, because your senses react. Your senses react to the beauty of what you're looking at. So
Absolutely.
that I can relate to. But what are some of the common barriers people face when trying to integrate outdoor activities into their lifestyle? And how do you suggest they overcome those challenges?
It's such a great question because I think we all have, well, let's just be honest, excuses, right? And I do too. Like, oh, it's too windy out. Really, Michelle, it's wind. I mean, it's wind. you're not going to get blown away. It's okay. It's wind.
It's
Um,
also a challenging team. Go indoors. We make excuse.
for sure, for sure. So, I think it always comes back to what's your why? We use that phrase a lot, but what is your personally meaningful reason for
Yes,
even thinking about exercising? And unless you actually execute the action, you're not going to get that benefit. Most people, once they've gone for the walk, they don't come back and say, "Oh, I wish I wouldn't have done that." But if they were thinking about a walk and then they didn't do it, they'll say, "Oh, I should have gone for that walk." Right? So that woulda, coulda, shoulda mode that we get ourselves into, we can avoid that by just committing to it, putting it on your schedule. Maybe I don't have to go for an hour walk. Maybe I can just go for 30 minutes. Maybe I just go down to the end of the block and back. I think very often we put these limitations on ourselves because we think it has to be a certain amount, or why bother? And
right.
to that I say something is always better than nothing.
Yes,
And
even 10 minutes. Yes,
absolutely. And yes, it might be hot out. Okay, you're going to get hot. You're probably not going to die, right? Or yes, it might be really sunny out. So maybe that's not the best time for me
right,
personally to go. But maybe
right.
I'll go when the sun is a little lower. I'll get my hat on. I'll put my clothes on. And yes, I'll be hot because I'm all covered up and it's 94 degrees out. But okay, I'm hot. It's fine. I think so often we can talk ourselves out of something because
Yes,
it's not perfect or it's not the preferred way I'd like to do it. If we're always going to wait for conditions to be ideal, we're
never
going to
happen.
be we're going to be wasting a lot of time waiting.
Of course, it will never happen.
Yeah,
But for
exactly.
those people who are new to outdoor activities, what tips do you have for getting started and finding a routine that fit their lifestyle?
Well, I think it matters specifically, what do you want to do? Are we going to go for a walk? Are we going to go for a hike? Are you going to go for a bike ride? There's so many variables at play. So we need to first get specific about exactly what do you have available to you and what are you comfortable doing? If you want to do something new and you're not quite comfortable, then I would absolutely advise you to go with somebody who does it, or maybe you join a group, right, where there's some guidance, and make sure you have the proper gear, the proper footwear, the proper, clothing so that you're comfortable. Definitely check that UV index, wear your sunblock, get your sunglasses, get your hat, make sure you have water, kind of those basics that even if you don't think you're going to be out for very long, you might end up being out longer than you thought. Or, you know what, you're not out for very long. That's fine. You still are prepared for whatever it is. And commit to it. Put it on the calendar. Find a buddy that'll go with you and do it. Start small, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, right? I think, again, we build this up to be a much bigger deal than sometimes it has to be. And yes, sometimes there is what I call hoopla involved. If I want to go paddleboarding here in Colorado, there's a lot of hoopla involved. I have to drive a very far distance because we don't have like bodies of water close to where I live that I can just pop my paddleboard in the water and go. When I lived in Hawaii, I could literally walk, I don't know, 40 feet and just pop my paddleboard in the ocean. Super simple.
Yes, of
So
course.
it requires a little more hoopla, which I have to decide, am I willing and able to invest in all of that? And if I am, then let me do it. Let me get it on the calendar and let me make it a really great time.
So, do you have any favorite outdoor activities or locations that you recommend for those looking to explore nature's gym?
Well, I think it's so personal, right? Some people really prefer, the mountains. Some people prefer the ocean. Some people like the solitude of a peaceful lake or river. So I would ask people first to identify for themselves what they would like. And also to maybe get a little bit out of your comfort zone. Maybe you don't know because you've never done it, or you think you won't like it, and then you did it. I was introduced to this very early on in college. I had a boyfriend who, for whatever reason, just decided that, we don't do those kinds of things was his answer to everything. I'm like, we're living in Hawaii. Let's go for a hike. We don't do those kinds of things. I'm like, who is this we? And what are you talking about? And so it was always like this big fight and this big grumble and, oh, I got to drag him. And then he does it and he's like, that was pretty awesome. I'm like, I know. It would have been so much better had you not complained about it for 4 days first. But hey, so be okay doing something that you don't normally do. Explore, give it a try. If you hate it, then don't ever do it again. It's totally fine. Um,
Right.
but yeah, stepping a little bit out of the unknown, but be prepared for it too, right? Don't just willy-nilly go do something. Like, do your research, start gentle, start small. I know here in Colorado, a lot of things, and this is true of Hawaii and other like destinations that have really amazing nature opportunities. People go very unprepared. I see people hiking in like flip-flops. Like, what are you doing? Or they don't have water with them because oh, it's a quick hike. Okay, except that you got lost and now you've been out there for 6 hours, because that can happen very easily,
Oh,
right?
yes.
Or I don't understand the current of the ocean, and oh, I'm a good swimmer. It's fine. The ocean's gonna win every time. I promise you.
Every time the
Every
ocean will
time.
win.
Or they don't appreciate altitude. Like, altitude's a thing. And
Yes.
yes, altitude sickness is a thing. And it actually doesn't matter how in shape you are. That has nothing to do with altitude sickness.
The body has to adjust.
Yes, exactly. So I would say, especially if you're going to go to an environment that is not your home environment, please make sure you know what you're doing. And if you can get with a group or somebody local, I think that's ideal. But at the very least, do your own research and be prepared so that you don't get caught, in a situation that you'd rather not be in.
It's amazing to me how a workout can feel so good for both the body and the mind. And it is incredibly beneficial for our overall health. But what I'm thinking is, I'm really interested in learning more about how individuals with specific health conditions, say like high blood pressure, can safely incorporate cardio into their routines. And could you share some insights on the best practices for people who have been diagnosed with a chronic disease when it comes to choosing and performing cardio exercises that is so physical? Are there particularly types of exercises that you would recommend, or perhaps some that they should avoid? I'd love to hear your thoughts on how they can strike that balance to improve their health without overexerting themselves.
Well, that's such a great question. And I'm going to preface it by saying I am not a doctor.
Oh,
I am
yes,
I am
we
not
agree.
giving medical advice.
Okay,
So
we agree. We're
please,
just
everybody,
suggesting, yes,
always consult your doctor first. But
yes,
having done this for 28 years, I will tell you that more often than not, moving your body is a good thing. So I think wearing a heart monitor, and maybe one that actually checks oxygen saturation and blood pressure, I think any of those gadgets that we now have available to us, really,
yes.
really useful tools.
Amazing.
Learning how to do a manual heart rate check, also really important, because especially for, let's say, blood pressure. If you're on blood pressure medication, one of the impacts of that medication is to reduce your heart rate, right? It's to slow down your heart rate. And heart rate is often what we use to determine like how hard you're exercising.
Of course.
Well, number one, you need to actually know what your heart rate is, and our monitors are not always 100% accurate, so double check it against your monitor. But in that case, where part of the medication, and maybe it's not even blood pressure medicine, maybe it's some other medication you're
Yes.
on, that the goal of the medication is to slow down your heart rate, well, then your heart rate is not a great way to evaluate how hard you're working. So in that case, it would be something more like the rate of perceived exertion, that we call it the talk test, right? If I can talk like this, I'm not exercising. It should require me to have to take a breath, right? A little bit labored speaking. That's how I know I'm in a heart rate zone that I'm challenging myself, but I'm not overexerting. If I can't talk at all, that's too hard. So, always going to start gentle, especially if you haven't been doing any kind of exercise. You're going to go for a walk to the end of your block and back. Maybe you'll go 2 laps, right? It just depends on what your own personal level of fitness and capabilities are. It's going to be challenging. So I do want you to be a little bit uncomfortable, but there shouldn't be pain. There shouldn't be anything where you're feeling like, you're in a dire situation. So you have to stay tuned into your body and really kind of be present with it. But I think, we get into our heads that I have to run, or I have to really exert, or I have to do a hit class, or I have to go all out. And again, this all or nothing mindset that we get ourselves in, usually not good. And honestly, most people really are not going to get tremendous benefit from hit classes. Um, and I don't recommend those for people who have elevated blood pressure. Keep in mind, when you exercise, your blood pressure is going to rise, right?
Yeah.
Because your heart has to deliver the blood, carrying all
Mhm.
your oxygen and your nutrition. So
Mhm.
if I already have high blood pressure, and now I'm doing something that's going to elevate it even more, I still don't want it to get to, a zone that is going to really maybe put me in danger. So for somebody that has high blood pressure, even if it's controlled with medication, I'm going to tell you to stay probably in your moderate zone, which is, if we're talking rate of perceived exertion, it's, I could do this for 30 minutes and then I'm probably done. If you can't keep going for, 5 minutes, then that is too much exertion all at once. So we're just going to kind of monitor and do the talk test and see how you feel. But certainly we're not going to push to a level where you are gasping for air and you're going all out. Those kind of workouts are really, I mean, for even most people, just not necessary and maybe not even beneficial.
I agree. As you said, they should check with their doctor, have a conversation with their doctor if they have any major illness to say, what can I do? What specific exercises do you think is okay for me? Because the doctor would know how your heart, if your heart is enlarged or what. But what about beginners? What incorporating like strength training? I know with high blood pressure, you're not supposed to be lifting heavy weights above the head, but how would they incorporate strength training into their fitness routine?
Well, strength training is one of my passions. I want everybody to hustle, hustle, build your muscle. Muscle is your best friend in life, I'm telling you. And yes, I mean, most people, again, really don't need to lift heavy weight above their heads. We really don't, unless you're trying to really make, these things pop and compete in a physique show. Great. Most of us, my audience, maybe your audience, that's not what we're trying to do. But strength training is so incredibly fabulous because building muscle, the more muscle you have, the easier your life is, literally. Um, Also, just from a structural standpoint, from a reduced risk of injury standpoint, from posture, correcting other imbalances we might already have that could lead to accelerated wear and tear, that could lead to some chronic pain. So many benefits to it. So, number one, consult a professional. I see too many times people who, they looked at a video on YouTube, or they followed an influencer on Instagram, or they picked up a magazine and they're sort of kind of trying to do what it says. If you don't have body awareness, if you don't know good posture, if you don't know biomechanics, at the very least, you're probably going to waste your time. At the worst, you're going to get hurt. So I am going to encourage everybody to invest some time and money to working with a trainer, somebody that can evaluate your form. I want you to teach it. I want you to learn it. I want you to be able to go do it by yourself. If you want a trainer every single minute, awesome. You can do that too. But I want people to understand their bodies and how it feels so that when you're out of alignment, you can auto correct.
Mhm.
If you've never been taught that, you don't know that. One of the first things I have people do is stand against the wall with your heels, your calves, your glutes, your shoulder blades, and the back of your head all touching the wall at the same time. Think about squeezing a pencil between your shoulder blades, engage your core. The goal is that ears, shoulders, hips, knees, and ankles are in a straight line. That's the goal. That is proper alignment. Many people can't even do that
Mhm.
because they've never been taught proper posture. And now we have all of this internally rotated, extended positions that we find ourselves in all day long, in the car, on the phone, on our devices, at a computer, right? We're always like this. So we've created muscle memory where this is super tight, this is weak and overstretched. You can't even do this. So we have to correct these imbalances first. Anytime you're doing any movement, and especially strength training, posture is always number one. That's where we start, with good posture. You don't
Mhm.
want to start moving weight when you're out of alignment, because now you're going to get injured, or at
Yes.
the very least, you're not going to really effectively work the muscles that you want to work. If you feel comfortable that you know what you're doing, then yeah, same thing. We're going to just start small, but we're going to want to get a full body workout addressing all body parts. So quads, hamstrings, glutes, biceps, triceps, chest, all your back muscles. There's a lot. So maybe you'll do a full body workout 2 or 3 times a week. Maybe you will break it up and do upper body one day, lower body the next, right? It really just depends on your time commitment, your desire commitment, where you're going to do it, what equipment you have available to you. So there are a lot of variables that will play a role in exactly how you design the workout. But I'm telling you, the stronger you are, the easier your life is.
Oh,
You
yes.
have muscle to move your body around. Your heart doesn't have to work as hard to move your body around.
It's a blessing.
It really is, yeah.
And your independence, especially as we age. But what about mindful movement? And I'm talking about the science behind mindful movements that help in improving our cardiovascular health, managing stress, just existing in that mental world of mindfulness.
Well, I love that we are bringing mindfulness into the movement space, because I think, we kind of chop ourselves off at the head, and we put the head over there and the body over here, and we've been operating very separately. We've definitely reconnected in a lot of ways, but still not a lot in terms of movement. This is one of the reasons that I don't listen to things. Now, I will have earbuds in. That's usually because I don't want people to bother me. There is nothing playing on those earbuds, because if I'm distracted by what's being played, I can't feel my body. And I want to feel what my body's doing. I want to
Yes, and
be
what's going on around you, take it
right.
in senses. It's an enjoyment.
Exactly. Well, that, and if you're out by yourself, it's awareness.
Oh, yes, you have to people
Right?
watch.
You have to be aware of what's going on around you for safety reasons, for, whatever, even just to take it all in and observe reasons. But yeah, when we really are present and connected, you will feel things. And when we are connected in a holistic way, right? That I love the whole mind body connection phrase annoys me, because the mind is part of your body. So it's just one whole being. Everything impacts everything. When you're connected and tuned in and you're feeling what's going on, heart rate comes down, blood
Yes,
pressure comes down, right? That's the thing.
you
When our
breathe
mind is,
differently. The
yeah,
breathing, everything happens differently.
exactly. When our mind is busy with other things, in some way, that's probably part of the fight or flight response. It's probably part of the stress response, right? And all of that activates and elevates. So, to your point, Donna, we can focus on the breathing and making sure we're taking in those nice deep breaths and getting the exhales fully out, filling the rib cage with oxygen, and getting all of that oxygen up to the brain, which is also very beneficial. And all of that also brings heart rate and blood pressure down. So, no matter what kind of movement it is, you could be doing this in a spin class. I have a colleague who has a spin studio, and it is mindful spin. Like, it is not the, go hard and
I've
kill
never
it.
heard of that one. A mindful spin?
It is
Tell me
amazing.
a bit about, tell me a bit more about it.
Well, I'm going to let you contact him with Dr. Michael Hosking with RevoCycle. He has done so much, just so much work in the mindful movement space. He is your go-to guy on that. I'm telling you, it's incredible.
I've
And
never heard of that one. I like it.
it's so phenomenal. It really is. And he has, virtual classes and everything. His studio is in California, I believe. But yeah, so just again, bringing more in, I think we talk about like mindfulness when we do yoga and Tai Chi, which those have been like kind of the standard mindfulness.
Standard from wherever. Yes,
Yeah, exactly. And they are, I mean, they
they
definitely
are.
do all of that.
Yeah.
But any movement can be mindful. That's the thing, right? When I'm walking outside, and I am thinking about my posture and I'm feeling my biomechanics and I am breathing in the air and I am taking in my surroundings and I'm enjoying the environment and I'm not listening to a podcast or thinking about what I'm going to make for dinner or think about that fight I had with my neighbor. No, I'm being mindful and present in the moment of moving my body. And when you establish that connection to your body, you will be able to tell when your body is sending you signs that something's not right.
Once
And
it's out of alignment, yes, you can know.
exactly.
Yes,
And that's the thing, right? Is our bodies and our minds are always trying to get our attention to tell us if something's off in the hopes that like Michelle listens and does something to get it back. But very often we are so somewhere else that we're not even hearing the messages,
I know.
which
I
means
know.
we can't do anything about it. So this concept of biofeedback, right? That's what it is. Biofeedback. My body and my brain are giving me feedback about my biology that hopefully Michelle will do something with, but she has to be able to receive it. And
She has
if
to
my
hear.
mind is
Yes.
somewhere else, I can't receive it. So I'm going to challenge all of your listeners that anytime you move your body, do it without noise in your ears.
Yes.
Do it that way.
That is going to be so hard for a lot of people because you hear it all the time. They say, oh, they pop in a podcast to go running, to go do exercise. And I'm always saying, even sometimes you don't even want to hear music. You want to connect so much with yourself that you need total silence
Yeah.
to just hear what's going on with your body, to feel it, because it's always speaking to you, you know?
Yeah.
But is there anything else that I have not asked you so far that you would like to mention or talk about? I would love to hear it.
Yeah, no, I think this is a fun conversation. These are questions I never get asked, so I love it. I
Oh,
absolutely
really?
love it.
I'm
Yeah,
happy to hear that, that I
yeah.
kept you interested.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, I think exercise scares a lot of people. I think kind of have this like, I have to exercise kind of attitude. Here's the thing, you don't have to do anything. You don't. You get to do things if you want to. So, if you have kind of a negative attitude about exercise, I've actually started shifting away from the term exercise. I'm just calling it movement. Can you move your body? Just remember that regardless of who you are, how old you are, what your health status, what your ethnicity, what your experiences are, a human is a human is a human. And every single human on this planet is designed to move.
Designed to
If
move.
you do not move your human, it's not going to serve you well. It isn't. And when I say movement is medicine, literally head to toe and inside and out, there is some kind of movement that takes care of everything.
Hmm.
There is not, however, one kind of movement that takes care of everything. So, we still have to operate in our reality. What are we willing and able to commit to in terms of time and energy and desire to moving our body? So just start with that. Look on any day. You have 5 minutes? Awesome. What are you going to do with those 5 minutes? You want to do some stretching and foam rolling? Cool. You want to work on your core and some balance? Awesome. You want to do some jumping jacks and run up and down your stairs? Great. Something. It doesn't matter what you do. That's the thing. You just do something. If you have
And if
10
you
minutes,
can't run up and down the stairs, you can do one step up and down,
there
up,
you go,
down.
right?
Movement.
Yes. There's always something you can do. And I think, if we have a limitation of some sort, oh, I can't do that, that's what we focus on. Okay, but what about these 8 things you can do, right?
Yes.
Let's focus on that instead.
Yes.
And I think when you really look to see all the things you can do, you'd be amazed at how much there is. And then you have to do it. I mean, there's that part.
And then if movement is a problem on solid ground, you can do swimming. In the water, you can move practically, don't care what's your ailment, because a lot of people can't walk and they can swim.
Right? Yeah.
So it's still a form of movement.
Yes. Yes.
I really enjoyed this conversation today. I mean, the time is just flying, but I don't care. It was so good. So let us do a final thought and a wrap up. So what is your advice for listeners who are just beginning their journey towards better health, well-being, and connecting to nature through physical activity for heart and soul?
I think my advice for anybody who wants to be better, right? So my business is Better Beings, be a better being. What does that mean? It means I'm not 100% satisfied with where I am, and I want to be better in some way, physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, spiritually, with relationships, with career, whatever it is. Let's just get an honest evaluation of where we are currently. I don't need to beat myself up about where I am and I should be different place and if only I would have this or that. I'm just going to evaluate with kindness and compassion for myself that this is where I am right now today. Let me think about where I would like to be. Like, what is my ideal? If I could wave the magic wand and poof, here I am, what would that look like? What am I doing? What am I not doing? How am I feeling? Where's my energy, right? Let's create that vision because that gives you the ultimate target, right? Now, it doesn't mean we're going to get there, but can we get closer to that? What is one thing that you are willing and able to do to get you closer to that vision? And just pick that one thing. Maybe you have 10 things, maybe you have 100 things. Great, let's list them all. But I just want you to start with one because trying to change too many things all at once, it's not going to be sustainable. You're not going to get there. I am a big fan of change one habit. Change
Yeah.
one habit that is going to ripple into other things. It's going to be a catalyst for other things. Before you know it, you've changed 10 things because you really just changed one. And that is the beauty of that kind of impact. So if you find yourself overwhelmed, like, oh, I have so much to do, I don't know where to start, we do nothing. Well, doing nothing is going to get you nowhere. So just do one thing and do it consistently because consistency is key, right? To do things kind of sort of every now and then, or to do it all for a bit of time and then do none of it for a bit of time. Consistency is what matters. So figure out what are you willing to commit to consistently, no matter what's happening in your life, you're willing to do this. And then be a very engaged participant in the process, right? You are the project manager of you. That means you have to be very actively part of that process. Evaluate what's working. If you feel like something's not working, don't just say, oh, well, didn't work. No, let's figure out why not. There's a reason why. And then let's pivot or let's bolster it or let's get some new information that can help us move forward. As long as you are continuing to be engaged in the process, you're going to move forward in the process. There's no other way that it can be. So yeah, I know that was more than one tip, but I would say
No, no, I love it.
plan. Yeah,
Yes, they need to just get started. That's how I would say. Get
yeah,
started.
right. The
So,
first step is the hardest step, right? And yet
yes.
you gotta take the first step. Like you'll never get there if you don't take the first step.
And then you might start enjoying it.
Right. Most people do. That's the thing.
Yes.
Mhm.
Michelle, I want to thank you so much for sharing your insightful information with our listeners on the diverse ways in which movement can transform their health. As we have learned today, whether it's through intense cardio, strengthening of our muscles, engaging in mindful practices like yoga and Tai Chi, or simply enjoying the great outdoors, incorporating various forms of physical activity into our daily lives can lead to profound improvements in our well being. Remember, movement is medicine, so let's embrace it in all its forms for a healthier, happier life. I want to thank you, my listeners, for joining us today on Nature's Gym, the incredible impact of diverse physical activities on your health and health with Michelle. And stay tuned for more insightful discussions within the High Blood Pressure Wellness Lifestyle Podcast community. Until then, take care and stay healthy.